Hi, this is Keith from Atlas Genius, and you're listening to Recess with Spinelli.
You are tuned in to Recess with Spinelli here on Hoxton FM, London, England, WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, the New York State Music Blog, and the International Radio Festival. And today we're here with Keith of Atlas Genius, originally from Adelaide, South Australia, but currently residing in Los Angeles, California. They have their new song, 63 Days, out and available now. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for being here.
Now, I understand that the 63 Days song has quite a backstory to it, and it has inspired kind of a campaign, if you will as kind of become the motif or the mantra of your tour. Care to go into some details about the history of the song as well as how it came to be what currently is?
Yes. What happens once you've finished a song, sometimes there's a realization, you have a better idea about what it's about once you've actually completed it. Like when you're writing something, you're in it and you're expressing whatever's coming out, but it's only after that you really it really hits you that the impact of what it is. And in the case of 63 Days, that song was about myself and my partner being, I guess, being kind of pulled apart by the lifestyle of being a traveling musician, right? Anyone who works and spends long amounts of time away from home has these struggles, whether it's music or traveling salesman or whatever it is. And I found that it was really the miscommunication that was causing the problem. It was her feeling that I was, forgetting about her, that she was feeling neglected. And it wasn't really the reality of it. It was really just the perception the other person had. And that's what the song is about. And then if you look at society right now, that's the same problem that we're having. There is a lot of people who are in essence wanting the same thing, but whether that they see someone else, and it might be someone who's on the other side of the political team. We're all human beings wanting very similar things, and it's really a misunderstanding of the other person that's creating the problem. It's not really that the other person is your enemy. And what we took from that is that this 63 Days song, we wanted to make into more of a campaign, and that's a commitment that any of our fans who were willing to could take a 63-day commitment to spreading love and compassion and trying to reprogram themselves if there was something that they were finding that they were maybe wanting to change, that was causing a disconnect between themselves and their community. And that's really what we're trying to do, is make an impact and have a small contribution to the healing of society's problems.
So besides the relationship aspect of the song, going along the lines of misunderstanding, have there been some points where you've caught yourself in an exchange with others where you've acknowledged that there's been a misunderstanding and you've had to reprogram yourself to bring yourself and the other individual back to the table and say, look, we are working towards the same goal here?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, a great example of that is just the fact that I work with my brothers. My Michael is one half of Atlas Genius, and my other brother Stephen is a touring member of the band. And so, I mean, I'm sure you understand. Like, family is the greatest at misunderstanding each other. Even though you've spent so much time together, there's such a history, and things are heard through filters that have built up through years. And so, I mean, that's a great example of where you might say one word to a family member and it's interpreted with this huge backstory. And it can be really hard sometimes just to get to the point, because it's almost like, please forget the thousands of conversations and arguments we've had before. I'm just literally asking for a cup of tea, or it can be as simple as that. I mean, that's a good example. When you come to an Atlas Genius show, we're trying to invite you to be part of this. We're one with the crowd. If it's a good show, it feels like it's just, even though there's a stage, we're all there together. And I mean, our songs focus on the minute, somewhat forgotten aspects of life, which I think all my favourite songs have tended to do that. My favourite artists have tended to do that. whether it's John Lennon or Benjamin Gibbard, artists like that. It's embracing the beauty in life and trying to give comfort to those who are struggling, because we've all struggled. I mean, I've struggled throughout my life, trying to do what I wanted to do with music, and struggles with depression, which I think a lot of artists have. I think it's almost like your music is lending its hand to, hey, are you struggling too? We're in this together. If you listen to Atlas Genius songs, there is quite often a lightness to the music, and to balance that, I often explore something that's a little bit darker, and because that balance for me feels right. I don't tend to be drawn to music that is overly dark and hopeless. And on the other end of the spectrum, I'm not really drawn to music that is, quote unquote bubblegum pop or top 40 that feels very vacuous and sort of throwaway. So there's a balance there that I try to find in the songs that I write and the way that I produce them. But we're not trying to change the world. In the end, we're writing music that we would want to listen to, and so it's not really a case of trying to preach to the masses. I mean, I don't really enjoy music that feels like it's preaching either. It's about you as a human being, off stage and on stage. Are you are you a positive example as our bass player walks in? Have we changed the world with this 63 Days campaign? It's early days. We'll give it a few more weeks.
Anything we can expect from that? Release date or any new singles coming out in the near future for that?
We actually played two of the new songs tonight. One song is called Animals, another song is called Operate. So they will be part of the new album. As far as release date goes, we haven't got a hard date, but it feels like it'll be early next year.
All right, and before we head off, is there anything else that you would like to add that you think is important for the listeners to know?
We live in trying times, and I've been on this earth for a while, like I'm sure you have as well, and it feels like particularly a challenging time for a lot of people, both in my country and in America and a lot of countries around the world. So I think that the news tends to hype things up. I mean, the magnifying glass tends to be on those negative events, and there's a lot of good happening in the world. And I think people should stay positive, because if you were to listen to the news, it feels like that the end is nigh, and it's not. It's just a little blip in history that we'll get through.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for chatting.
You have been listening to Recess with Spinelli here on WSPN, Saratoga Springs, New York, Hoxton FM, London, England, the International Radio Festival, and the New York State Music Blog. We've been speaking with Keith of Atlas Genius, originally from Adelaide, South Australia, but currently residing in Los Angeles, California, and they have a new song, 63 Days, which is out and available now.